Hi, boys and girls. I'd like to review chapters 23, 24, and 25. These are very long chapters, and I may not have enough time because the program only allows me 15 minutes. So there are two events that are going to be taking place. God promised Abraham the land and the people, and it was only God's promise. Abraham did nothing so far. In these chapters, Abraham begins to fulfill those two promises, land and people. Sarah dies in chapter 23, and Abraham buys a cemetery land in the city of Hebron in Hebrew. And by buying the land, he is beginning to fulfill the promise that God made him. In chapter 24, we have the dramatic story of how Abraham's servant selects a wife for Isaac, and he goes back to his homeland, to Abraham's homeland, to find Rebekah, um, the cousin or second cousin of Isaac. So now that he's married, he could have children and fulfill the second part of the promise that God made with him. So if we go into chapter 23, Sarah is 127 years old. She dies in the city called Kiryat Arba, which is another name for Hebron. Kiryat Arba, Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham comes to mourn for Sarah. He cries for her and he eulogizes. Eulogy is a speech that somebody makes when somebody dies. So Abraham is negotiating with the people of Chet, the people of Heth, and as he's negotiating with them, you see a very dramatic story unfolding because Abraham says to them, I live here. I'm part of you, but really, I'm not just somebody who lives here. I'm also a stranger because I come from a different land, and I would like to buy land to bury my dead wife. And the people of Chet answer Abraham, listen, you are a prince of God, Nasi Elohim, and you could have the best graves that we have available. Nobody would prevent you from burying your dead. And Abraham politely bows down to them. He politely bows down to the people of Chet, and he really says, that's very nice of you, but really, I want to get land in the cave in the land of that belongs to Ephron, the son of Zohar or Tzohar in Hebrew. Ephron ben Tzohar, Ephron the son of Tzohar. And he is saying, I'll pay for it, but I want the cave of Machpelah. Machpelah, kefel, is the Hebrew word for multiple or multiply. And basically what he is saying to them is, there's a cave there that has multiple burial areas, and I want that. However, I don't want it as a gift. Even though it's at the edge of his field, the end of his field, I want to pay a full price for it. I want to purchase this because probably Abraham is thinking that he wants to fulfill God's commandment, and a gift, somebody could ask for it back, but once it's purchased, it's not. Now we begin with some very important words that keep reappearing, that the purchase is done lechol ba'ei shariro, that to all the people that would come into the city, namely, this would be something that everybody would know. Le'enei b'nei chet, le'enei b'nei ami, in the presence, to everybody could see it. And Abraham bows down again to them. And he tells them in front of everybody, so everybody could hear the hearing of the people. namely the hearing of the people, means that everybody is within ear range. They could hear it the way he is saying. And he says, listen, if you just listen to me, I want to buy. I don't want a gift. And this back and forth continues in verse 15. And finally, Ephron says to Abraham, between you and I, 400 shekels silver is not so much money. The truth is that we don't know if that's a lot of money or not. Is Abraham getting a bargain, or is Ephron taking advantage of him? We simply don't know. Some people want to pretend like Ephron is taking advantage of Abraham. But what we know is that the money, the 400 shekels, are in Hebrew over lasocher, current money with the merchants. What does current mean? It means that all merchants accept it. It's not money of Shem, and it's not money of Hebron, and it's not money of any community. It's universally acceptable. And then they go on and specify the deal. Okay, and the field of Ephron, the Machpelah cave, which was before Mamre, the field, the cave, which was in it, and all the trees, everything is listed. And wherein all the borders around were made sure. So the deal here specifies all the details for the 400 shekels that are mentioned in the previous verse. What is Abraham getting? And it's getting le'inei b'nei chet, in the eyes. Everybody should see. B'chol ba'ei shariro. Everybody in the city knows. Remember, in those days there were no lawyers. So everybody knows about this deal. Okay, and Abraham accepts everything. And now Abraham is getting older and he's looking for a wife for Yitzchak. So I think I'm going to stop here and do each chapter separately. So this will be chapter 23. We will save it for you and send it to you, and then we will do chapter 24.